See, that's my comment. So I just want to say welcome to everyone. We've got a couple of folks filing in. Please feel free to take a seat. We got plenty of seats, so get comfortable. Because this is not going to be a lecture. It's not going to be training. It is going to be an event. So I just want to say thank you to Dr. J.W. Womack for coming out here. So the reason Colonel Finlayson and I to bring J.W. out is because last year during the 16th Air Force Senior Leadership Summit, J.W. spoke to a room full of, virtually spoke to a room full of about 150 wing commanders, command chiefs, SELs, and some GOs on 16th Air Force staff, and we were blown away. So much so, Colonel Finlayson looked over at me and said, "Ron, try to get JW to come out to AFTAC." So I ran into the parking lot, grabbed my phone, connected with him on LinkedIn, and invited him out here. And when I got back into the building, everybody else was saying, "We need to get him to come out to our wing." So we already beat him to the punch. So we were so blown away. We wanted to make sure that you guys had the opportunity to hear the exact same things that we heard during the event at 16th Air Force SLS. So thank you so much, sir. And I'll hand over the floor to Sergeant Paul to do the formal introduction.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Jason Womack, known as JW, continues to make positive impacts on leadership studies throughout the Air Force. If you use the tools, techniques, and procedures he will share today, you can create a high-performing culture. JW is an assistant professor at the Air War College, Maxwell Air Force Base. He is a by-name requested coach and facilitator, working with groups across MAGCOM throughout the Department of the Air Force. JW earned a doctorate in organizational change and leadership from the University of Southern California and is both an ICF and VCC certified coach. He helps leaders change behaviors and build cultures of belonging and connection. JW has published 3 books on leadership and personal development: The Promise Doctrine, Get Momentum, and Your Best Just Got Better. He has also been a featured speaker at TEDx events, sharing his insights and knowledge on leadership, connection, and emotional intelligence. Please help us welcome Dr. J.W. Womack to the stage.
Good morning, friends. Good morning. So 2023, there are 3 views that I would encourage us and that I'm working to Windex. So for those of us who grew up cleaning the house, I'd go invest in Windex if I could, and then I would go get a paper towel or a newspaper page, however your pop brought you up, and I would want to make sure that these 3 views are clear in 2023. I'm going to go in an order. For those of you who are going to write some of this down, fantastic. I've written a lot about this over on the interwebs, so once you get out of the building, you could go see that, of course. The first view that I would want clarity on is the mirror. Oftentimes when I get to work with my leaders, what I'll say is, hey, when you walk by a reflective surface, check you out. Like, just pause and just take in for a moment the you that they see. Now, on the physical level, absolutely, I want to go take a look at that reflective surface. I want to check me out on the physical level. So quick show of hands if you're willing. Quick show of hands. Who's ever looked in the mirror and saw a spot that wasn't there before? A line that wasn't there before. Visiting my family a couple of years ago at Christmas, and I'm in the kitchen with my stepmom Gail, and we're having a conversation, and she's looking at me, but she's looking like above me. And we're having this conversation, and her eyes are above me, and I jumped up. I said, Gail, what's going on? She said, you have a lot of gray hair. I need to check myself before I wreck myself. Now, on the psychosocial level, that's the physical level, right? What do people see when they see this? On the psychosocial level, maybe I need to re-attack one of those personality assessments. Maybe I need to go reread some of my journal entries from the past couple of years. Maybe I need to go review the meetings that I've been invited to and gone to and ask myself, was I me there? I mean, come on, who's taking one of those Myers-Briggs, True Colors, DISC profile, strong interest inventory, Johnson O'Connor, Winslow assessment, or the ASVAB. And all of these are just assessments with some computer screen or piece of paper trying to put me in a box. You know, the fascinating thing about a personality assessment, it only does one thing. It tells me how I'll draw distance between you and I. And it'll create a path of connection. I mean, let's talk about just for a moment how important it is that we rethink the golden rule. I was growing up with the golden rule. I was taught to look at a mirror and go, okay, that's the me I see. Let me go out into the world and what's the golden rule? Treat others as I want to be treated. So let's just run a quick hypothesis on this one. This is AFTEC, so you're probably going to sit down all day long today. Let me get you all to stand up real quick. Go ahead and stand up. Americans, we sit down way too much today. You're on Zoom, stand up. I see you. All right, so here we go. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say a statement. All right, now this statement's going to be about me. It's about the man in the mirror. I'm going to say a statement, and when I say a statement, if that makes you and I different, please go ahead and grab a seat. Okay, take a seat. Once you take a seat, you don't have to stand back up. It's not squat, it's sit. Okay. So I'll say something, and if what I say makes you and I different, and you go, yeah, he was that, and I'm this, that's pretty different, go ahead and grab a seat. And we'll start with an easy one. We'll start with this one. We'll start with, I was born in the United States of America. So look, I'm looking around the room and I'm in peripheral. I saw one, I think I saw a second. Now, here's the deal. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's not good, it's not bad, it's not plus, it's not minus. It's a fact that I was born in America and 3 people I just saw sat down weren't. Interesting, I ask myself. Now, I've lived in Mexico. Hablo español con fluencia. Si necesito, yo puedo ordenar cualquier cosa en español, pero I was born here and I was raised here. Let's try this one on for size. I am currently married. Someone's like, Now, for those of us still standing, we're married. Not good, not bad, not right, not wrong, not plus, not minus. Doesn't make me or you any more or less or more than anybody else. It's a fact that those of you who are sitting have different calculus you run when you decide where to live on your next PCS. Let's do a third. Let's do this one. Jody and I could not, we did not have children. We don't have children. Okay, so if you have children, sit down. I'm trying to help. So now here's the crazy thing. I said I was born in the United States. Some people sat down. I said that I was currently married. Some people sat down. I said that we do not have children. Some of you sat down. You realize that someone could be 2 or 3 of those things. So all of a sudden, I'm playing this refrain in my mind that sounds something like this: treat others as I want to be treated. And I'm very curious about this. Why? Who just sat down? Raise your hand because of the kids who just sat down. For those of you standing, I'm not going to speak for any one of you. I'm going to speak for myself right now, okay? I have no idea. I have 0 essay on what it could feel like to look around a park and not see my 3-year-old. Okay, I heard 2 and I saw 3 nods. Now I can fake it. I go, wow, that'd be really hard if I didn't see my 3-year-old at a park. I can fake it. I never wore the uniform. It's like, forgot. So now we look around this room.
We got a lot.
Which is fascinating because on the surface, if you saw my friend and I in line, if you heard us speak a few paragraphs, and if you followed us around for 24 hours, you'd probably think that we were different. Check this on for size, how the brain works. When you take a look around the room, find something that's the color red, go. Look the other way, find something else that's the color red, go. Behind, in front, above or below, find two more things that are the color red, go. All right, everyone close your eyes. This won't hurt, I promise. Those of you on Zoom, I'm watching you, you gotta do this too. Now what I want you to do is I want you with a pointy finger, I want you to point around the room at everywhere you remember there is something that is the color blue. You better be right. Don't miss one. Okay, open your eyes. Look around the room. Hey, blue or red? Is there blue in the room?
Yes.
More blue or more red? Where was blue when my brain was looking for red? It was gone. Who's ever gotten in their car, drove one place to another place, parked your car and asked yourself, how did I get here? It's because your home was red and everything else was blue. Hold on, I'm not done yet. For 99.5% of the audience, I only had to share 4 things to show the group how different we are. I'm a 5'4", cis, white, male, married, without children, speaks 2 languages, and never had children. There's some people in this room who we are 8 for 8 different. So when I say to look in the mirror, I need the 2023 version. Now there's 3 views. For the note takers in the room, you got bullet point 2 for the triangle drawers. We're gonna go to a new angle, narrative format. You can practice right now if you'd like. Number 2 is gonna be, I'm gonna take my Windex. Who's got a window? This is gonna be cute. Who's got a window in your office? Nobody. Imagine you had a window in your office. I don't know. I can't have my badge out. I shouldn't have a window either. Now what I do is, so if I'm at your university, I sit down. My window, I got 4 of us in the office, by the way. You try and be an academic and write research with 3 other people bothering you in your office. If I look at the window, it's 9.5 feet away, right? I measured it for this story. If I sit at my desk and look out the window, that's the view I see. Are you tracking? That's the view I see. Now what I need to do is I need to grab the Windex and my paper towel. I need to walk to the window, spray it down, clean it off, and put my nose against the pane. Because if I do a side-to-side with my eyes, I see more. And I hope you realize this has nothing to do with the window in my office. Leaders, I need you to park your car in a new parking lot every other week. I need you to walk around and see your airmen and guardians. Leaders, I need you to go to the gym at a different time of a different day. I want you to see your airmen and guardians. I want you to go to the commissary at a different time of the weekend day on a different day. So you get that sight picture. You're gathering SA. What are they doing? What are they talking about? What's on their hearts? What's on their minds? That idea of a sight picture cannot wait for a deox. I need to run my next commander call. If I'm a commander and people come in, I give everybody a 3x5 note card. 1 red, 10 blue lines. Every 3x5 note card has 1 red and 10 blue lines. You can fit approximately 8 words on a line. So what I do is I pre-print on the top of the red line as a leader. I pre-print, what does it feel like to come to work here? And I write that 74 times. My handwriting. And then as the people walk in, I give them the card, I give them the card, I give them the card, I give them the card. I was doing this out at Nellis a while back, and I asked the maintenance commander to do this. He's like, I'm gonna get a lot of nonsense. And I said, yes, ma'am, and you're also gonna get 42 pieces of gold. You're gonna have 42 airmen on that flight line who are waiting to be heard. And then I just said, you take those 42 pieces of gold, you lay them out in front of you, you start to code it. What does it feel like to come to work here every day? How are you at your level of leadership with the stripes, with the stuff, and us as civilian, I call myself a Yahoo, what are we gonna do to see what our airmen and guardians are managing through every single day. Got to work yesterday for the Nurse Corps of the United States Air Force. Pretty much a joint organization as they try and figure out their relationship, the new relationship with DHA right now. About 350 people in the audience. I got to speak for a couple of hours. At the end of one of the sessions, someone comes up on the back of her business card. She had written, AMC has had 8 deaths by suicide this year. We need help. This is what I want to see when I look out the window. That's not what I want to see when I look out the window. I want to see a clear picture when I look out the window. Now I need to go to the garage or the shed and I get a ladder and a spotter, safety first. And now I'm going to take the ladder and my spotter, I'm going to put that against the windows of my house. And I'm going to climb up that thing and I'm going to Windex the outside. Why? Because I need the people who see me to have a clear picture, a 2023 picture. Not a 2013 picture, not a 2003 picture. For the civilians in the room, those of you who wore the uniform, retired, and now you're in, you're going to have some stuff from the days. You're going to have some coins, you're going to have some guide-ons, you're going to have some group photos. And my ask, my pleading with you is I want you to look at 2033 as your sight picture. What are airmen going to look back through the window of your office when you're long gone? And what do I hope they see clearly with their eyes? So I guess now's the time when I ask the audience to think for yourselves, how am I going to wipe down my glass surfaces? What is my version of Windex that I'm going to go see myself? What is my version of Windex that I want to get a clearer sight picture out in front of me of what my airmen and guardians are managing through these days? And how am I going to invite people in to see the me I hope I present? I can look around this room. There's plenty of people in this room who have been in the world's greatest Air Force long enough to know that there are some leaders in position of leadership who probably shouldn't be there. Literally was in a text exchange with a buddy of mine at a base in the United States, here, CONUS. And the conversation that we were having with the three of us was, I have feedback to give my boss. The other guy chimed in, how are we going to protect the boss as we give them the feedback we need to give? And then this civilian Yahoo chimed in, why are we protecting bosses from feedback? So when I think about that concept called the golden rule, I know that I just pushed on a few people in this room. My ask for you is to play with it. By the way, when I say that about the golden rule has been played, I think that's a 2022 and before thing. Someone's going to be thinking, does that mean we need to go to the platinum rule? I go, oh, what's the platinum rule? We need to treat them like they want to be treated. And then they'll usually say without prompting, they don't know how they want to be treated. To which I always reply, why is it so binary? Why is it this or that? And what if there's a third version of what our airmen and guardians need right now? Okay, let's play around. Do you have a handout, a folded brochure or a printout that you came with? Cool, who needs a handout? Folded brochure or a printout? Awesome, so don't look at me, fix the problem. So look around the room, there's someone wandering around or they're in the back of the room. Sergeant Hall, do you have all of them in your hand? They're all up here? Oh man, it's like teamwork. Cool. I can't be down here. See, follow directions. Tell me once, steel trap, it goes in there. Let's do this. Let me get everybody to stand up. Cool. And on your way to sitting and getting a brochure if you need it, I want you to sit 10 people away from who you're currently sitting with. And you can't go together. Okay, so you two go 10 people away from who you're currently sitting with. And if you don't mind, come down just a little bit. Go. So I got two quick questions. Question number one, who came in with someone and you sat with them? Good. Who is now sitting next to someone they do not know? All right, so we are accelerating change. Someone tell General Brown. Mission command. I got the memo. We're going to accelerate change. We're going to get people to sit somewhere different. Oh, by the way, practice makes, dang, they lied to you too, huh? And then someone's going to say, perfect practice makes perfect. And then someone else goes, practice makes progress. Great, so you just gave me the 1994 version of what you've taught. Let me give you a 2023. Everybody got a piece of paper and a pen? Put this in the margin. Practice makes three things. Number one, comfortable. Who's ever driven home, got home, didn't know how they got there? It's because it was comfortable. Number two, practice makes normal. I do something enough times, I will normalize it. Oh, by the way, this is where the caution flag, if I have any NASCAR fans in the room, this is where the caution flag runs up. When I hear the word, that's normal, I start to worry. It means we practice something to the point where we don't think about it anymore. Meetings here normally start late. Interesting. So you've normalized, based on repetition, a behavior that everyone has an opinion about. And then the worst thing, for me, the one where I worry, and then I want to be the guy that you call. Practice makes accepted. The commitment I make to the Airmen and Guardians that I serve, as long as I have a CAC and they let me run around this great DOD, here are the two commitments. Number one, I will listen to you like you have never been listened to before, and I will ask you the questions that your friends won't ask. And I know me, I need that person. I need someone who's going to hear what I say and go back in time and go, hey, Jada, by the way, you said this. Don't think that worked. Thank you for listening. Hey, you're working on this? Here's a question I don't think you've asked yourself. So when you think about practice, please remember, while it might make things perfect, it might make progress, all practice does in our book is it makes things comfortable, normal, and accepted. And those of you who've been around the Air Force, how many of you, this is not your first duty station? So you've had that one at a previous duty station where you've accepted the way things are because there's only 8 more months till APCS. Laughter means you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm that guy in the room going, why are we protecting them from feedback? All right, let's go to the top left of this thing. You see where it says 5 words to describe a resilient you? Ignore that. What I want you to do is I want you to make a list of 5 things that are meaningful to you. Go. Spelling does not count. When you've got 5, will you please stand up for me? Okay, if you have 4, go ahead and stand up for me. All right, if you have 3 things that mean something to you, go ahead and stand up for me. All right, let me get everybody to stand up, just pretend. Cool. So here's the deal. Just give me a noggin nod, a thumbs up. How many of you that was actually a challenging exercise? Okay. I gave you a piece of paper, you had a pen, and I said, please write down things that are meaningful for you, and you stared at a piece of paper. You're like, oh, shit. And then you censored, right? You filtered. How on earth can a 51-year-old American look at a piece of paper and be stumped to write down things that are meaningful? Explain that to me, folks. Explain how you only got 5. Explain how you stopped when you got 5. See, because what's going to happen is sometime in the next year, you're going to have an airman, a guardian join your unit. Who's going to have someone come into this unit the next year? And some of you are going to sit down and you go, hey, tell me about yourself. And they're going to look at you, they're going to look at the center of your chest, and they're going to decide what they should and share. This is a filter, this is a hashtag. I'll use them both all day long too. You see, I sit down with you and I have to ask myself, how much should I not share about who I am? What if I say something and they use it against me? What if I share something and they go talk about me? How little can I let them know about this? So this next exercise, total option of how you do it. But I need you to add 3 things to your list based on a conversation you have with one other person. So it's going to get real weird right now for this audience, because some of you are going to look over at like someone else's shoes. And you're going to say, well, here's something that means something to me. And what you might notice if you look up a little bit is the partner might go, oh my gosh, we have a lot in, where'd he go? We have a lot in common. Thank you. The power of the stage. So let's do this. We'll take this in steps. Raise your hands when you're in a group of 2, and then I'll give you the next direction. Go. Okay, good. Hands down. Raise your hand if you're not in a group of 2. If you're not in a group of 2, raise your hand. All right, fix the problem. Don't look at me. All right, step 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my partner. I need to introduce myself. Hey, I am. Then the 2 of you are going to have a chatty chat. You're going to filter, right? You're going to censor which things you share with them. All you need to do is have a chatty chat. For those of you who still watch, I got the Chiefs watch, so that's keeping me on time. You haven't watched, we're going to go about 300 seconds on this. After you have added 3 to your list based on the conversation, go ahead and grab a seat. We should take about 4 to 5 minutes. Ready? Go. see my hand in the air, will you raise your hand in the air? If you can't hear my voice, will you raise your hand in the air? If you can hear my voice, will you raise your hand in the air? Will you wave to your partner and grab a seat? If you can hear my voice, will you snap your fingers once? If you can hear my voice, will you snap your fingers twice? If you can hear my voice, will you snap your fingers 3 times? All right. So when I joined our university, one of the things I found out is that the Air Force likes to yell or whistle or flip the lights up and down. What I realized is that if I will satellite around you, then you own the experience. So when I break into conversations like that, all I'll do with the time hack is I'll just raise my hand. Someone will see it, they'll raise their hand. A few more people will see that and they'll raise their hand. That's the indicator that we've hit time. But those people who raised their hand right away, they were done. They're like, oh, thank God. But then there were pockets of folks who weren't done yet. It's the most equitable way that I have found to draw a conclusion down is to let you finish it, not be the interjector. I am fighting to find ways to make it an inclusive, not a directive. You take a look at what you wrote for meaningful things. Now let's circle the word resilience on the top, because my hypothesis is when I'm doing, being, having meaningful things, I don't even need to think about resilience. We keep looking at resilience as an event-driven, deadline-focused event. And I just need to ask folks, let's go to page 2 of your little handout, please. Top left corner there, bless you. What I'm going to invite you to do there is I want you to write down names, go-bys, initials of the people who you would consider to be on your resilience team.
That's URIFF.
2 F's at the end of that. You think the term resilience team and these 5 plus or minus show up. Please give me a noggin nod or a thumbs up when you got 5. So those of us who grew up, it was probably 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Anybody get that assignment that was the 50 states on one side of the page and then 50 capitals out of order on the other side of the page? Remember this? And then we had to draw a line to map the state to the capital. You remember this? Take the page, look at pages 1 and 2. If it were me, I would draw my lines. Who helps me be more me in this meaningful thing? Who helps me be more me in that meaningful thing? Who helps me be that way in that meaningful thing? I'm a baseball fan. I have been since I was a kid. Grew up in the northern part of California. Played baseball up until college, until someone told me, they said, you won't make the majors. You might want to think about doing something else. Roger that. Baseball, 108 stitches, hold something together. Baseball, it was meant to be thrown, be it, be caught, and be put back in the game. Notice I didn't say get hit, be hit. When I'm at my desk at the office, there's a baseball there. When I'm at my desk in my home, there's a baseball there. When I'm working, there is a baseball in my backpack, which I didn't bring in because I can't bring anything in here. But I am rarely a hand distance away from 108 stitches. My ask of you is, what's your artifact? What is the thing that when you look at, when you feel, when you touch, when you get, you go, that's. There are put 5 down here, put number 5. There are 5 connections that I'm concerned about for the future of the Air Force. If you go ahead and circle number 3, that's the one that most of our senior leaders thought we needed. So if you go back to February of 2020, that's when we shifted. February 13th, we graduated our last class of that academic year out of Air University, the leader development course that I teach. February 14th, Valentine's Day, we went into mode. And for the next 2 years, what all I heard from our senior leaders was, I can't wait till we come back together. Gonna be so much better when we come back together. Just give me a smile if you heard something like this during COVID. 80,000 kiddos graduated BMT wearing masks. 80,000 airmen graduated BMT and got to their first duty station and sent to their dorms. 80,000 airmen were rewarded for staying behind closed doors. Meanwhile, we had a narrative going on, and that narrative was, I can't wait till we get back in person. If you're willing, and the answer is yes, if you're willing, please raise your hands. How many of you know someone that when COVID ended, they came back and it wasn't better? To which I find fascinating. So that meant to me that out of these 5 connections that I've been playing with these days, I'm not sure where connection to one another truly fits, because we're lacking in 4 other ones. Go to page 3, please, of your list. Up in the top right-hand corner above self, I wrote the word mirror. Because to me, these next 2 pages of your little booklet, that's how I could Windex the mirror. This is how I could get a 2023 version of me. Let me just take a look. What are 5 ingredients that make it easier for me to be and work at my best? I'll be quiet. You have 60 seconds. Righty, right, please. Zoom, if you don't mind typing a few in for your colleagues so everybody can see what they wanted to see, that'd be kind of cool. So off to the side here, I've got, do you know the superpower that's important as Superman's X-ray vision or Wonder Woman's truth lasso? Knowing when you're at your best, I believe, is a superpower. Telling people when I'm at my best, that's the risk. Now, there's going to be things that hit your list. There's going to be things that hit my list. While I was preparing this, and by the way, I always do the work that I'm going to ask you to do. So I wrote mine. If I say one and you're realizing, oh my gosh, we're like twins, me too, awesome. If I say one, you're like, oh, that's good, I want that, you could write it down. That's not cheating, it's collaborating in my classroom. So I put down sleep. I put down bike ride. I put down read. I put down think. And I put down friend time. So those are some of mine. When we moved to Montgomery, Jody and I had been living in California for 47 years, in the same house for 21 years, and we owned our own company for 12 years before we moved to Montgomery. And I'll always remember when Air University finally said yes. That's a whole long story I won't bore you with, but when Air University said yes, and I started telling people, hey, we're gonna move from our house in Santa Barbara, California, and we're gonna move to Montgomery, Alabama. Pause for dramatic effect. The question I got over and over again was, yeah, where's Montgomery? That was the flight. Was why? Now, 4 years, 4 months, and 3 weeks ago, I had an answer. What has happened over that subsequent time has only deepened it. It went from a why because to a why so that. It went from a why because based on the past to a why so that based on the future. If you flip to the next page, page 4. Okay, 4. So yours says I am at my best when I subtitled this self-care plan. You hang out with Chief Bass, she's always going to say 2 things. She's going to say, make sure to take care of yourself and make sure to take care of your wingman. I mean, Chief Bass is so good, she FaceTimed me on Monday to wish me a happy birthday. That's how good Chief Bass is. Just thinking of you on my way to the airport. Happy birthday, J-Dub. That buddy check. When you get out here, you might want to go grab a mobile phone on one of your breaks, lunch break, or before you start driving home. Open up a messaging app and just scroll for a while. And I promise you, there's going to be someone's name there. And you're going to have that heart hit or that gut hit. You're going to scroll through Facebook Messenger, Signal app, iMessage. I'm not supposed to use WhatsApp anymore. Not today, China. I call this my self-care plan. Now, I'm going to give you a moment to write a couple of these, but on the left-hand side of that page 4, I just want to cover down on a couple of things. When I think of resilience, I know what I need to do. That's not the challenge. What's the challenge? Thank you. So now what I need to do is I need to ask myself, okay, all right, I'm going to set myself up to be a better version of myself. I mean, you all realize that you have about 180 seconds when you walk into a room for that day to go one way or the other. Y'all know that, right? I mean, let's play around. Who's going to go home to someone else tonight? Anybody can go home, someone else is going to be there? Go. You have 180 seconds for that night to go one way or the other. Now just think about this, right? You're going to be with me for a little bit of time, you can go do some worky work, then eventually you're going to get your car, you're going to drive, forget how you got there, you're going to hand hits the doorknob, you walk in, you see someone else. Who has ever blown it in the first 180 seconds? High and proud. And you're like, wow, darn it. I mean, I teach this stuff, and there are times when I walk into the house and words are coming out my mouth. I'm like, please, no. Anyone ever literally, physically said, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to do that one more time. There's going to be someone in this room who's tried that. Try that, right? I have 180 seconds to get ready to be at my best. So 3 factors that I filter through. Number 1, it's got to be believe I'm at my best when I win the lottery. Actually, research shows that you're not. So let's not get into that little academic foray. It's got to be believable. I had someone write down, I'm at my best when I sleep through the night with no interruptions and I wake up rested. And I said, hey, remind me again what's going on in your life. Well, we have a 3-month-old. It's not believable. I mean, unless you're going to check yourself into a hotel one night a week so that you can rest, which is what our friend Shelley had to do when her daughter was born ill. And Shelley had to enact the network. And one Tuesday night a month, Jody, my wife, drove up to Santa Barbara, this is when we were living in California, and she slept overnight with Gianna. And for 1 year, Shelley would check herself into a hotel so she could simply sleep. You see, when you know when you're at your best, now you can enact the network. Number two, it's got to be in my control. I'm at my best when I can sit down at work and get everything done by noon. Don't know what your job is around here, but if your job includes the potential of someone knocking on a cubicle wall and asking if you have a minute. Anybody ever get asked for a minute? Do you have a minute? And you look at them and you know, this is not gonna be a minute. But you're so nice around the Air Force, what do you say? Sure. Like you might even do that thing where you reach over, you pull out your CAC. And then they start talking. And you realize not only is this not going to be a minute, there's really nothing that you even need to do. And how many of you have ever been watching someone talk because you said you had a minute and then the next thing you know, you have zero clue of what they are saying? You're off fixing a problem. You're off thinking about your grocery list. You're wondering what the weather's like outside. What can I control? Number three, by default, you notice the title here. It's not I'm okay when. It's not I'm decent when. It's not I'll survive when. It's at my when. So now I need to sit down and ask myself, okay, all right, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna get food in my belly, eventually I'm gonna fall asleep again. That's all gonna happen. That's gonna happen. What's a little bit extra? What's one thing extra that I can add to that that's going to make me just a little bit better of a version of myself? So what I do, how I do the math, is I look at the first three lists you've made. I look at meaningful things, I look at people who are on my resilience team, and I look at what ingredients go into making me at my best. And then I write sentences. So what I thought I would do is I would just read three. I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to ask you to write three. Just for full essay, much of what we do here, I am not going to have you share with your partners. Every now and then, I'm going to have you share stuff with your partners. I will always tell you when one of those is coming. I'm not going to have you share this, what you write with one another, but I would recommend you share it with someone before you fall asleep tonight. Tracking? Cool. So here's three that I wrote, just to say them out loud. I'm at my best when I eat dinner by 18:30 and I'm settling in for bed by 20:45. That's the foundation for my 7 hours of sleep. I'm at my best when I produce written content that I can share with senior leaders that connects my content to actual research. And I'm at my best when I think a little bit extra before responding, even pausing during a Q&A session. Those are three of mine, just to get the juices flowing. This one, I'm going to ask you to take about 2 minutes, whatever you're willing to put on that piece of paper. Again, I'm not going to ask you to share it with one another, but I am going to invite you to share what you write with someone before you go to sleep tonight. I'll be back in 2 minutes. will share a writer's favorite hashtag is rough draft. Rough draft, I can write something down and shred it later on and go, well, that was an attempt. Kind of like when Stephen King wrote the first version, it was about a 10-page story called Carrie. And then at the end of that writing session, after he typed it out, had a few extra glasses of bourbon, he threw it away. And when trash came, and Wednesday night, when they sat down to dinner, Tabby, his wife, had actually pulled that 10-page short story out of the trash. She had fined it down so that you could read the 10 pages. And she said, hey, Steve. He said, what? She said, I think there's a story there. Literally, Stephen King's first novel was pulled out of the trash. I wonder what gold you're sitting on that's just waiting to be seen by one other person who's on your team. What would happen if you shared something that you wrote down that said, I'm at my best when you weren't judged, you weren't made fun of, you weren't ridiculed, you were simply supported. Let's go to page 5. In the middle of that page, you've got this line. What is noticed is magnified. Underline, circle, put a heart next to that, please, just to call it out. If you think of one thing, if you remember one thing from this, the airman that needs you to notice her. Because what is noticed will get magnified. I could have you look around the room, find some red, close your eyes, and try to remember where there was blue. It's not a fair prompt. Now, the thing is, as leaders, we don't roll around noticing everything. We notice anything that fits our bias, that fits our past, that fits our, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, and it walks like a duck, it must be a duck. And I'm out there and I'm going, what can I notice that's not a part of my past? So I get to Aaron University, I take the civilian version of the oath on 23 Jan 2019, 7 February, I'm sitting in Right Start. Because that's what you're supposed to do as a new civilian airman. And I'm doing what I do every time I go to a conference, because remember, Jody and I had a business for 12 years. All I did for 12 years was put together conferences and offer coaching. That's what I did for 12 years. When I was speaking at a conference, I knew that there were people who were going to sit in the front row and sit in the back row, and I knew they were different. I'm not judging. I'm simply stating. Just for full essay, I was a front row guy. It's actually how I met my wife. 1993. We were in history class, and there we were in the front row. Totally different reasons, right? I loved history and I loved learning. She realized that if the professor knew her, she would get a better grade. Yeah, it's funny. She'd go from a B minus to a B plus to an A minus, just like that. Anyway. What is noticed is magnified. And so I asked myself, I go, well, what got me here? You got this list, you can do this later on. If you go to the next page, please. Now what you've got over on that other side is you've got this fascinating exercise that gets us from past to present. See, January 23rd, I took the civilian version of the oath. 7 Feb, I take Right Start. Every year subsequent, I'd been mandated to go to the SAFR and suicide awareness training. So I was supposed to have been equipped. I was supposed to have been trained. I was supposed to have been cultured. So on November 24th of 2021, we're at the height of the pandemic at this time. And I was running a program for ACC called Sword Athena. And we were putting on these things called psychological safety Zoom sessions. And what we did is we met for 90 minutes at a time, and I did them about 10 days or so apart. We gathered people together and they attended session 1, session 2, session 3. And on this particular one, session 1, I was 87 minutes into the program. We only had 3 minutes to go. Promised land, we're almost there. We're about done with this thing. And in Zoom, which we've got 80 some odd people right now. In Zoom, I've got people who are sharing in chat. I'm moving into breakout rooms so they can have small group side conversations. I'm getting call and response from folks sharing with me their journey of psychological safety. 87 minutes into the program, I get a private chat. Who's ever been in a Zoom and sent a private chat? Some of you are doing that right now. And the private chat was this: I'm sorry, I have to go. Just found out my boss died by suicide. And then she was gone. I hope you understand the difference that we are in. Folks, if you had an airman walk into your office and say, sir, I just found out my boss died by suicide, would you let them walk out the room? And so there I was. She's gone. All I had was her first name. The class ended. I very quickly went to the Zoom records because I could find out what her email address was that she had signed up as. It was a Gmail address. And now I had her first name and last initial. So I did the only thing I knew to do. I went to Facebook. And I typed in her first name and initial. And lo and behold, through a friend, we knew each other. I knew her face. The picture on Facebook mapped the face that I saw right before she logged on. Now I'm a civilian. At this point, I'm not even 3 years in. I have 0 military experience. I've never worn the uniform. I don't have family who wore the uniform. The community I lived in didn't even have military around. So I did the only thing I knew to do. I sent her a message on Facebook. And I did what I thought my commanders might do, the ones that I've gotten to work with. I simply wrote, I'm checking in on you. I don't know what else to type. I got a response back about an hour later. It was a long response. The beginning of the response said, I'm shaking. I just became the senior leader of our unit. Some stuff that she was doing. And then she wrote, the last conversation I had with him yesterday, I said something I'm not proud of today. Her end comment, and excuse, are we recording this? I'm going to leave the F word out. She said, did I F up? Now I really don't know what to do. Now I can't tell you why. All of that happened around 14:30 that day. I cannot tell you why, folks. To this day, I still do not know. But at 20:38, I sent a Facebook message checking in on you. I don't know why. I cannot explain it to this day. Within 2 hours, I had not gotten a response. So I did what I only knew I hoped one of my commanders that I worked with would do. I hit the call button on Facebook Messenger. She answered. We talked. We cried. I walked around my backyard, took off my shoes so I could walk on earth. I am from California. 47 minutes into the conversation, we figure out that Tech Sergeant Summer Malillo's boss, Master Sergeant Christopher Messer, was in my LDC 2 weeks prior. When we talk about a small Air Force, it is a small Air Force. To this day, Summer and I now work together at LDC. She was our first enlisted instructor who applied, made the grade, and got into LDC. And every Friday of the Leader Development Course for Squadron Command, she and I get to share our story of connection. This morning, I had to meet with a group of SELs, and one of the comments I started with was, everyone has an origin story. Will you be a part of the next Airmen's Guardians next origin story? Let's go to the next page. Your booklet, please. Probably the line that's most important to me as you're taking a look at this is this one right here. Within 60 months, you'll be somewhere new, doing something new with someone new. During the next 5 years, quick show of hands, who's going to not be wearing the uniform within 60 months? So all of a sudden, you start thinking to yourself, wow. And then I just start doing this thing which I call as the half-life experiment. If I know that my life's going to be different in 60 months, I cut it in half. What could it look like in 30? I start to get a sight picture of what it could look like in 30. I cut it in half. What could it look like in 15? Great, if it's going to look a little bit like that in 15, I cut it in half. What could it look like in 7.5? You tracking with me? It's just a half-life experiment. And the one thing that I am 100% confident of is what's going to get me to where I'm not is my who. It's who I will share what I'm challenged by or working on. And it's who I will hide and not be vulnerable with. You know, what's fascinating is, let's do this, quick show of hands. How many of you, and you two in Zoom, just put something in, put a yes in chat if this is true. How many of you shared something that was meaningful to you? Someone shared something that was meaningful to them and you added to your list. Go bring that home. Show someone at home. Hey, hun. Hey, son. Hey, daughter. Hey, mom. Hey, friend. Hey, mentor. Hey, pastor. Just want you to know a little bit about me. Here's some things that are important to me. Please do this activity. I like to do this not on my own. I like to do this with someone who knows me. Because if I do it on my own, I'm going to think of the same 5 or 10 people. If I do it with someone who knows me, they're going to go, hey, what about that person? I go, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about her in a long time. Yeah, she was pretty influential on me getting to where I am. Let's go to the next page, please. Is this the last one? Chief, you're doing pretty good. Thank you. So I promised my group of SELs that I would not repeat what I was going to do. So how many of you, your SEL is in this room? Aha, pressure's on. Let's label this triangle, please. Let's label this one about, just the word about. And then the next part of the triangle, let's please label that because of. And then we'll label the final part of this triangle so that. So earlier we talked about personality assessments in Myers-Briggs and DISC profile and true colors. So who labeled the points of the triangle? Raise your hand. Cool. Who labeled the sides of the triangle? Great. Who did not label the triangle? You put bullet points down the bottom of this thing. Yeah, I could run a whole personality profile on all of you. So here's the deal. There are 3 conversations I can have after. And right now you're all wondering after what? After anything. Okay. Within a few minutes, we're going to wrap this up and you're going to leave this room. And there are 3 kinds of conversations you can initiate with the person that you bump shoulder with on your way out. Number 1, you can talk about the past hour and 20 minutes. Okay. You can talk about that. It's pretty easy. It usually sounds like a 4 or 5-year-old telling you about their day. And then I woke up, and then I had cereal, and then I got on the bus, and then I went to school, and then there was a fight, and then I had homework, and then I took a nap. The and then, that creates context. In the world's greatest Air Force, it's, so there I was. Let me tell you about what happened. 10% true. The about simply creates the foundation upon which I'm standing, but I'm going to leave that as quickly as I can. I don't want to get stuck in the past. It's 2023. And the more I tell you about something, I'm staying in 1994, and 2008, and 2014. So then I want to pop to what I call the present because of today's presentation, because of making a list of things that were meaningful, because of meeting someone I had never talked to in my life before, because of whatever that thing is. I promise you, in the next 12 months, you're going to have a resiliency, tactical pause, challenging conversation, bring everyone together for team building. Okay, now I don't know anything you don't know. I've just been around for 4 years and we've done 4 of these. We've done the resiliency tactical pause, we've done the extremism down day, we did the group gathering, and my boss right now is working on a 4th one. My question is, when I bring people together, do I talk about things or because of things? Who read the disparity report? Who read the second disparity report? I had a lot of people who were stuck talking about it. I wanted to get in a room, I want to talk because of it. The facts are the facts. Airmen charged are being given different discipline. And when we go back into the report, there is one difference. Now, I hope you all get, the more I talk about that, I'm going to stay about that. The moment I move to the present, because of that, now I need to look at the sod a little bit differently. Now I need to bring those folks in who are offering those Article 15s and writing the 1206s. I need to look at them. I go, what are we doing? Because of the facts. The third conversation that you could leave this room and have with the person that you bump shoulders with, or the person that you get to go home to and have a FaceTime conversation with, is so that. You can just take that little listy list you made of things that you can do, be, or have that be at your best. You could share those with someone so that maybe they can support you a little bit. When Jody and I moved to Montgomery, we did the things, right? We sold a company, we closed a company, moved, bought a house, started a new job, and I started my doctoral work. And there was points in time where literally I was at the computer and 5, 8, 12 hours had gone by, some weekend days. And in the middle of that, Jody would walk in holding my bike helmet. And she would say, go for a ride. I didn't even know she knew where my bike helmet was. What did she know?
You need to ride it.
I was at my best when I just got to go sweat it out. Those 8 pages we specially designed for AFTAC, as or if there are questions or concerns or clarifications that I can make. I left my phone number on a little card in the back of the room for anybody who wants to stay in touch. I'm abundantly in the gal if there's anything that I can do further on. We've got about 6 minutes. What I'd like to do is offer the 2 or 3 of you who have a prompt, a challenge, a question, or some kind of a response just to share with the group. And then if I hear something, because I'm going to listen to you like no one's ever listened to you before. And then if I have a question, because I'll ask you the questions that your friends aren't afraid to ask you, then we can have a little dialogue back and forth. So let me hit pause and look at the audience and go, what could I help who with now?
What's up with the baseball? Bicycling helmet helps you. How does that having a baseball help you?
It reminds me I'm designed to be thrown, I'm designed to be hit, I'm designed to be caught. That's an important one. And I'm designed to be put back in the game. That's mine. You have your version of that, my friend. You have that thing that's on your desk that when you PCS, it goes with you. Who's got a letter from a mentor out of the blue that they wrote to you, some note, you're like, oh my gosh, they remembered? Who's got a letter from somebody? Yeah, is it still around? Has it moved PCS to PCS? That's what I'm talking about. I want you to have that thing that when you look at it, you go, that's me. Hey Griff, can we pull this down? It's kind of distracting. That's a reminder of me. And I want you to have that for you. I was just trying to give an example of what mine was. I generally have a little knife in my pocket. Wear a suit and I have a knife. I have to check my luggage because I can't have a 2-inch knife. What's you? Go. Sir.
On page 2, we're talking about this connection. She told us right down the 5th one, but I don't think it.
Cool. Number 5, connection to tradition. Tradition. When was APTAC stood up? So now all of a sudden, right? Sir, do it this. Will you write? Put down below that. Put a little line like this, and on one end of the line, write tradition. You can do this too. It's kind of cool. On the other line, write down context. Underneath tradition, write 19 what? That. Underneath context, write down 2023. And now put a balance beam in between those two. That, my friends, is culture. If I go too traditional, God, we're recording this. I have to be conscious of this. If we go traditional, we're going to be upset that women are wearing ponytails and everyone has ball caps on. If we go too contextual, we're going to say things like beards and skinny jeans in the same sentence. I'm enacting academic freedom and I'm enacting non-attribution. But do you understand what the recipient hears when they hear, I would rescind ponytails if I were in charge? Or they hear, skinny jeans equate to beards. That's your culture. So anyone in this room who thinks that you cannot get after culture, it's a lie. You get after culture by telling a better story. Everyone in this room needs to be a better storyteller. You know who the best storytellers are in the Air Force? Folks on senior NCO page. Fight me. They're the ones going to the internet, using it for what it was designed to be used for, and we're sitting in the background. Your little note called "At My Best When"? Take a picture of that and post it on your refrigerator at home, and that's the social network, not the social media network. You had the wool covered over your eyes if you put social and network and thought that was Facebook. You made your list of social network back on page whatever that was, where you wrote down the names, the go-bys, or the initials. That's your social network, friends. And if they don't know the pain that you're feeling right now, and if they don't know the challenge that you're facing right now, they can't show up for you. One more. Sir.
It's been years since I've actually talked to you before, but I just say congratulations.
Appreciate you, sir. It's the same, if I can do it, anybody can do it, is true. If anybody's thinking about taking on a BHAG, right, big, hairy, audacious goal, there are people in your network, there are friends that I've got that I will always pass on to and enact that network of how do we build things better than ourselves. 60 months from now, you will be who you be, you will do what you do, and you'll have what you have based on the free fire 5, 6, 7 people that you'll let into your hearts. All right. So Chief, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up a little bit, back towards this podium. Are you going to come up and release folks with anything before we go? Yes, come on. As the Chief comes up, folks, thanks for coming to this thing. Thanks for spending a little time with me.
So thank you all for showing up. It was not mandatory. You had the option of being here, so thank you so much for investing in yourselves, which in turn will be an investment in your teammates and hopefully your family members as well, if you guys have family members that reside with you. So again, on behalf of me and the boss, at least I want to say thanks to J-Dub for coming out, and it was a pleasure and an honor to be able to hear from you twice. So just a little token of my appreciation, sir. A little token of the past as well. It has a little bit of AppTech history on it, and it's a fidget device as well. It's a little spinner. So just want to say thank you, sir, and I look forward to the next time we meet, sir. Thank you so much.
Zoom, you are troopers. Thanks for being here. If there's anything I can do, they've got my contact information. Folks, I'm going to stay down here for a little bit. I don't have anything to do for a little bit, so if anybody wants to chat any more about this, otherwise, I've got my phone number in the back of the room. Thank you, everybody.